In the last few years or so, we've seen a deluge of games flood through Steam on the front page as the floodgates opened via Steam Greenlight, and every time I look through it I see a ton of crap I'm definitely not interested in, mostly due to a lot of those games looking like they're of questionable quality for the price that they ask. It's an adventure game this, or a visual novel that. Things I don't really associate with a good time. Though I'm certainly willing to give them a try, I certainly don't want to have to pay for a rousing session of "this might be shit." Finding decent solid content amongst the oodles of crap being pushed on the front page is becoming harder and harder every day. Enter Strider, a side-scrolling ninja romp from Capcom and Double Helix Games. My expectations were set pretty high from the outset, since I was looking specifically for a game of this style. I wanted something fast, fun, and something with goddamn double jump. I wanted to slice dudes and run around like a silly fuck, sliding through random dudes and throwing kunai, and for the most part, the game delivers. Full disclosure here, I never played the original Strider game, so a lot of things really confused the shit out of me. Such as the idea that a Japanese ninja master guy is running around what appears to be Russia in the first place. It seems like there's a story here that is told before the game even begins, where there's a long line of Striders, whatever the fuck that actually is, and that he's here to fuck shit up and no one can stop him. While you play, you get announcements from this guy you have to assume is running the place, and giving you the impression it's an oppressive, militarized dictatorship, but they never explicitly state why you're there. You just appear and start meddling in their shit. For all we know, the system works, and you just show up and start killing people left and right. It's very possible that from a certain perspective, you're totally the bad guy here. The story is very rigid, and the presentation is not that great. Cutscenes are obscured by huge banners at the bottom of the screen with dialogue text and character portraits, and during cutscenes the characters don't move their mouths while talking at all, and the voice acting is pretty terrible.
That was only the prototype. There are others. Other Gravitrons. Work, all day and night. You must visit the work for the others.
It's definitely strange. It's never been established when this is supposed to actually take place either, so we can assume the future based on technologies being used in the city, but who the hell knows? Gameplay is where the game really shines though. You move fast, you look cool when you jump, the physics are just right, double jump is there, and you can throw shit at dudes. Attacking is cool too, since you slash as fast as you can press the attack button, it makes jumping around and stringing together kills look cool. There are definitely sections where you feel like a ninja moving around, which is a difficult thing to capture. Attacks are also directional, so jumping over a guy and slashing downwards, landing into a ground slide, and then attacking diagonally totally works, and it looks cool. There are also lots of abilities to gain, most of them double as traversal moves that help you get around. Unfortunately, that also means backtracking a bit to previously explored areas. But it does give the game that Metroid Castlevania feel. Since you see different colored obstacles in your way and you can't pass them, you know there's something good to come back for. Boss fights can be interesting too, and certain mini-bosses show up as regular enemies every so often. Unfortunately, I didn't really see an increase in power towards the end of the game. I came back to the starting area, and there was a mini-boss from the first stage that showed up as a regular enemy, and I expected to immediately wreck his shit. But it still took the same amount of slashing to take him down as when I first started the game, or at least it appeared that way. And his cheap knockdown mechanics were still in place. Sure, I had many tools at my disposal, but it didn't make me feel like I had progressed into the ultimate ninja badass, though I certainly moved around like one. One thing I really liked about combat was that they didn't lock rooms and expect you to clear the room before moving on. Sure, there are locked rooms all over the place, but if you can find the switch and you want to avoid the guys in the room, fuck it, go for it. You'll take some damage, but once you have the ability to reflect bullets, you won't give a shit anymore. While the game is fun for a while, I couldn't get into an extended play session with this game. I'd pick it up for about an hour and then put it down and come back to it later. With its lack of engaging plot and blatant shortcuts in its delivery, I couldn't find anything gripping to hold me in my seat for any longer than that. Man, I'm seriously disappointed in that story stuff too. While I never played the original versions of Strider that appeared in arcades and on consoles like the Genesis and PlayStation, I'm familiar with the character's history enough to know that there's a manga out there that was released, and the original game serves as backstory and context for that initial story. You would think that with all that source material and the character's popularity, since being included in games like Marvel vs. Capcom, that they'd put a little more effort into fleshing the character out and explaining where he comes from. This is a reboot after all. And sure, there are intel pickups scattered around the level, but that's more lazy than informative. Who exits the game to read intel files? That's fucking boring. Not to mention, these intel files are hidden items, so it's not like you automatically obtain them once you beat an enemy or a boss or walk into a certain area. Ugh. To sum it up, this game is practically the definition of middle of the road. It looks okay, it plays okay, and there is some neat stuff to do provided you want to beat up the same guys over and over and see the same levels again and again. It's a decent effort, and if the price drops to a point where you feel you can buy it for a few hours of mindless ninja nonsense, sure, go nuts, but don't feel bad for skipping it either.